Hello and welcome on into another movie review from MBE. We'd just like to thank you once again for joining us here on our YouTube channel and of course our Twitch stream. I'm one of your co-hosts, Stephen John McLaughlin. Our other co-host is John C. Walsh, sitting to my right, your left. And today, whenever you watch this, we are going to be reviewing KGF Chapter 2. John, this directed by Prashant Neel and stars the likes of rock and star Yash, Sanjay Dutt, Ravina Tandon. The list goes on, John. I'm going to get right into this because we've got a lot to get through. We've just done the watch-alongs in 6 parts. You've probably seen this film more times than me because you're the editor.
Yeah,
and the amount of times you've been conflicted with Amazon Prime Video blocking the videos. But 8.5 out of 10 on IMDb. Will we rate it lower? Will we rate it higher? Stick around and you'll find out. But I'm going to hand it over to John now to take us through this review experience.
Yeah, Stephen, it's expedited, of course. We don't want to overstay our welcome.
Yes.
So I'm just going to go through pros and cons.
Best way.
And I'm a positive, glass half full kind of person. So I'll start with my positives, pros, and we'll see what your thoughts are, Stephen, whether you agree, disagree. Yash, right off the bat's a pro for me. It's KGF, it's the story of Rocky. Rock star Yash is Rocky. So in a lot of respects, Stephen, the entire movie is weighed down on this man's shoulders. His tremendous shoulders, which sport many a utterly incredible suit throughout the 2 or 45-minute running time, right to the very last second nearly of the movie. End credit scene aside, he's rocking suits. The man is sinking into 20,000 feet of water, into the abyss, surrounded by gold and shrapnel.
And a bottle of whiskey.
And a bottle of whiskey, still rocking that white suit.
Yeah.
Like a messiah, disappearing into the depths. Yash was outstanding in this movie, Stephen. There's a couple of moments, for being completely analytical, that are a bit dodgy, that his delivery of certain lines a little bit dodgy. But in the main, I think he's tremendous in this. He is the main man.
Yeah.
He just has a gravitas, he has a presence about him. He has an ominousness to him as well when he comes into that police station at one point. The air's sucked out of the room.
Yep.
The little guy shouting out, he's obviously Rocky.
Yep.
You feel it.
Yep.
I don't know what your thoughts were on Yash. I thought he was
John,
the main
that's
man.
the main reason I think we came back to watch Chapter 2 was because of him. You're absolutely right. He carries the first film, so naturally he's going to carry the second film as well. It's a story about him, told from a third-person perspective. It's about the legend, the myth that is Rocky, and you're absolutely right. This is what we came back for. I think we were in a kind of privileged position that we were quite late to the party watching Chapter 1, so we didn't have as long to wait. We didn't have 4 years like most people did. We only had a year or two, actually, about 18 months to wait for this film. That's probably why when we'll get into the cons, John, in terms of the recap, 4 years apart, I suppose, is quite a gap between sequels, between films. But I think on the most, John, I think Yash has to carry this film, but to a degree as well, the villain in the film has to take some of that responsibility as well. And we get that 45 minutes in when Sanjay Dutt as Adira comes in, and that just cranks everything up after that, and I think both of them work so well.
The movie changes,
and they've got tremendous respect for each other as well, which we've obviously covered on our movie news shows, with Sanjay Dutt saying it's a great privilege to work with Yash, which is probably a surprise. You would think it would be the other way around, with Sanjay Dutt being the more sort of veteran in acting circles. But I thought, John, on the whole, a couple of dialogue bits, if we're going to nitpick, are probably a little bit cringeworthy.
He's caricature, though.
Yeah, it's caricature, you've got
I'll get into that as well, why that.
But apart from that, John, I mean, he is a man. He's a rock star.
Yes, and he is a rock star.
Yeah.
He is a rock star, Stephen. And he wears suits like a rock star. He reminds me of your man, the front man from Arctic Monkeys.
Yeah.
He just wears these incredible suits.
Yeah.
Some of the costume changes, I think he wears about 50, 60 suits in this movie. Everyone unique, incredible.
Yeah.
The beard is perfect. The hair is never out of place. I think there's one moment when obviously the wife dies where the hair's out of place in the whole movie. But Stephen, action sequences, speaking about that, there's just a litany of brilliant action sequences. The moments leading up when obviously the wife or the girlfriend at that point's taken away and Adira's laying a trap for him and he comes after them, the cuts, the sort of blackouts, the chase sequence, he's shoving cars up in the air, slow-mo, splitting goggles off of people's heads, stabbing them left, right and centre, bodies flying. That's the first proper action sequence we get. Maybe Adira coming into KGF aside when he walks across the bridge of flames. That summed up the movie for me. That's when the movie kicked off. You mentioned Sanjay Dutt coming in. He kicked the movie off for me. That's when it turned into what I expected from a KGF movie. Bodies flying, guts, blood, slow-mo.
Yeah.
Just typified the movie. You've got the gun sequence in the police station was absolutely fucking epic. The moment at the end when he walks into the parliament. There's so many great action moments in this movie. This is when this movie is at its absolute best for me, when it's action and solely action. Great slow-mo and just some great deaths. The bull-ringed guy gets stabbed in the neck. I loved that. That was my highlight of the entire movie. Hold me back stuff. Let me at him. The one moment Adira lets him at him, he disarms him within a second and he's gone. He's meeting the void.
Character?
Yeah, he's meeting the void within a minute. Loved it.
I did say to you, John, before we started the review, after we watched Chapter 1, and we already knew Chapter 2 was on its way because it wasn't that long ago we watched the film, I did have concerns in terms of the position of the Rocky character and where they were going to take this character in Chapter 2. And admittedly, and I know you've admitted it as well, the Rocky character in that first 40 minutes of the film for me wasn't the Rocky that I remember from Chapter 1. He'd sort of reached Everest, if you like, you know, and I was concerned where they were going to take it, and they took it in a way which I expected. You know, he's sitting at the top of the table, cocky.
He's taking the whammon.
And yeah, just, I don't know what it was. There was a vibe about him that just didn't sit well with me, you know, and I just felt, I don't mind that at the end of the film, but not at the start of the film, because I'm not really sure where they're going to go with the character. If he's at the peak of where he wants to be, and that's his story, where's it going to go without him being a total D-head, if you like? But as we know, the film obviously pans out that he loses quite a lot, you know, over these two chapters, in terms of loved ones, you know, obviously sort of his own pride and ego, to an extent. And yeah, I mean, that first 40 minutes did concern me. You can see that in our watch along where we react, but it's not really, we're not really reacting to something that we're enjoying too much, you know. And
that's why Adira coming in was so important, Steve, and he takes it from him, and then we see the full extent of his empire, his contacts. He goes to Dubai, I think it is. I think it's his uncle figure. You see the full extent. He quickly regains it, and then he puts in place the real plan for KGF. He turns it into this industrialised sort of thing, the city. And you see maybe the potential he had. I think it's a 2-3 year time span. So yeah, I agree with you though. That was a slight con for me. The character changing a little bit, but maybe I'm reading it wrong. Maybe it's because we spent the best part of 2 years without seeing the movie and then went in. But that was another con for me, Stephen. The pacing in the first half. Really, for me, the first 45 minutes of this movie is all con. There's too much recapping, too much exposition. It was too slow for me. Some people are really enjoying that. I've seen it in the comment. They like the more drama aspect of it. I personally am in this movie, watching this movie for action, blood, guts, gore. Yash doing his thing. That's what I want from a KGF movie. Maybe song and dance numbers. In the first one, we see the rise in Bombay. He's dancing and stuff like that. That's what I expected from this movie. The first 40 odd minutes for me were pretty much all con. The editing as well for me was a con at times. Some dodgy edits in there. But look, I said that in the first movie as well, when it was a baptism of fire. The very first Indian movie we watched was KGF 1. There was a cut a second. But you quickly become accustomed to it. And again, I did become accustomed to it, and it was fine.
For anyone that doesn't know, KGF Chapter 1 was our first Indian film that we've ever watched in our lives, and that was back in 2020. The film was already 2 years old at that point. A recommendation, we actually did the trailer reaction first, didn't we?
We did songs as well. And then
we did the songs, and then we went in to do the film. And you're absolutely right, John. Conditioning our Western minds into that sort of editing technique. And you've got to remember the song and dance numbers, something that we were not used to either. In terms of any film, not just action film, any film that was not a musical, just an out-and-out musical genre, that took a bit of getting used to, but we're at the stage now where we are accustomed to that. We expect it now. So in terms of that, it's not a case of, you know, the editing, just because we weren't used to watching an Indian movie, you know, the editing is just different, because we've seen maybe about 30, 40 movies since then.
And it is different.
It's this style from, obviously, Prashant Neel.
And look, I respect it from the Telugu industry, because they just go in there and they don't give a shit. They make the movies they want to make, and that's it. They don't care what anyone thinks, and that's absolutely fine. Because look, it worked for the first movie, and to be fair, as we move into the second half, wasn't much of an issue in this movie as well for me.
No.
Stephen, the score as well, and the first part of the movie wasn't bad, but it was very excitable, highly charged. And we says at the time, we didn't feel it was mimicking the action we were seeing on the screen. It was slightly slower paced.
Yeah.
Obviously, as the movie kicks into action and there's a lot of some manoeuvring, political violence, action, it matches the score. And I actually enjoyed the score as the movie went on. There's some great songs in there.
I think just the sort of the positioning of the score at times was wrong, in terms of big like bombastic peak points in the score when nothing was really exciting happening.
Yeah.
Not for us anyway. But actually, as a soundtrack, it was fantastic. It reminded me a lot of Alan Silvestri's work.
Yeah.
Obviously, in the
Ravi
MCU films.
Bajrur, obviously, as well.
Yeah,
did the
you know,
first
and
movie.
it's very excitable, very enjoyable to listen to in isolation. But sometimes I felt it was misplaced. You know, it's just a nitpick.
It was, yeah. I mean, look, there will be nitpicks here. Yeah, that's what we do. We watch a movie and we'll take it apart. The second half of the movie I enjoyed. That was a pro. Specifically the exploration of a relationship between Rocky and his mother. At one point, a character asks him, "Why are you doing this? You became, I think it's Gadira or something, or maybe not Gadira. There was another character in the first movie who obviously he displaces as the main man in KGF. I can't remember his name, and that's annoying.
Look for it, John, yeah.
But he explains why he's doing it. We get the flashback of the mother and why such a potent relationship, why he wants to do her proud and become something.
Yeah.
She's speaking of him being a sultan, of being an emperor and stuff like that. And I thought the way they utilised flashbacks, the mother, how that's embodied this character with this spirit, this desire to become who he ultimately becomes in these movies, and hopefully the third movie moving forward. That was a standout for me. I liked the way they explored the mother, even though she's dead, in the second half of the movie, and the way that impacts the relationship with the wife figure as well. You can feel she's touched by it. She warms to the character of Rocky after that.
Yeah.
That's something that was a big standout for me. Again, it's kind of drama, but it's intermixed with all the things we love in a KGF movie, so it was better handled in the first half for me. So second half of the movie I loved. I really did. I enjoyed it. You can see it in the reactions. We're getting right into it.
Yeah.
As much as a Scotsman can get into it, reacting with a little bit dour at times.
Yeah, well,
compared to our American compatriots.
Yeah, I think at times as well, John, when it comes to false creed, I think sometimes, John, when we are watching international films and it's got subtitles, sometimes it's just taking in the action, reading the dialogue and reacting at the same time. Sometimes things might just go over our head. Sometimes we might miss things, it's certainly not deliberate.
No. And then also the ending, epic ending, all unravels.
Yeah.
Sort of political manoeuvring. That guy gets done in the parliament. I don't actually know what his name is, but he was playing the game the entire time. And Stephen, you can see in our reaction, I hope you can anyway, that we were kind of aware of that figure. We knew what he was up to in the movie. It's not even her, it's I think I've seen the guy down there. She's the Prime Minister.
Yeah.
But I really
enjoyed
the way it all spiraled at the end. Obviously, mine free is how Adira gets in. He asks what mine did they use. Obviously, he goes and confronts him. I actually think it's that character there. Is it Guru Panda?
But I thought he was the one with the nose ring, but you might be right, John.
Yeah, I don't know if it is him. I may be wrong. He didn't have a moustache in that. I'm pretty sure he had the sort of thing going on. The white rose and
Ramika Sen is the politician, John, and I felt that her sort of placement in the film was a little bit off as well. It was a bit
choppy.
Just came in, no introduction or anything like that. Maybe 3/4 of the way through the film, and I was like, okay, we're putting the politics into the film now. Okay, strange move, but listen, it worked for the end sort of sequences, if you like, John. It really did, and I think it just added more flames to the fire, if you like, in terms of having that sort of peak moment. It's what I expected from a KGF film anyway, is to have a larger than life, big bombastic action sequences, choreography in terms of the fighting, scores at sort of amp level as well. It was a fitting end.
And Rocky one step ahead again.
Yeah, well,
he's notifying the Americans. Yep. So there was another country involved. The ships are all coming in.
Yeah.
The shot of the rocket hitting the boat, KGF being destroyed. Realistically, watching the movie, it became apparent to me that he did everything he had to do with KGF. I think he'd put a 2.5 year time scale on it. We'll mine what we can. It was about 2 years had passed. He didn't have much more to get out of it.
Yeah.
He got what he needed, and then he set it up. I think it's clear the way they're building into a third movie. I think the Americans have maybe took him, and he'll somehow live to fight another day in that third movie. So I liked the ending. I thought the ending was pretty decent.
All the treasures with him. Yeah.
Yeah, but we're in the sea, aren't they? To be fair, there's my dog. They're in the sea, but I'm sure they'll find a way. It's Jimmy Carter after all, isn't it?
Yeah.
But Stephen, I think realistically, that's probably it for me. In terms of pros and cons. There's probably more pros in there than cons, and the cons are maybe more issues with us than the movie. Perhaps it's the first half of the movie, long time gap between us watching the first movie, the second movie wasn't as fresh. The expedition bogged it down. Not expedition, exposition bogged it down. We went on an expedition with a character that perhaps I didn't want. I just wanted to get right into it. That's maybe my issue, less than the actual movie itself. But
John,
for me,
I'm going to ask you as well, because I know that a lot of people have been asking this question anyway in terms of expectation and comparison, and I think perhaps maybe because we've come off the back of Triple R as well, and we've been exposed to 30-40 Indian action films now anyway. When we went into Chapter 1, it was something fresh for us, something new, something excitable. Not saying Chapter 2 wasn't that. With anticipation for both of us, I was very high for this film, very excited when the trailers came out, as you can probably see if you check our trailer reactions.
Yeah.
And for the best part of the film, you could see that we were reacting in a positive manner because it was a good film. But I'm going to just ask you this anyway, John. In terms of the release of this came just Triple R.
KGF and Beast.
I think Triple R did the sensible thing, distancing itself from KGF Chapter 2 and Beast. Both of them came out days apart, didn't they?
Yeah, a day apart, yeah.
Which I don't think it did the finances any harm. Different audiences, I would suppose. But
KGF done better.
Yeah, I think it's probably a better story as well, John. But in terms of Triple R as well, I think getting into that and watching that first maybe soured this a little bit, because we're going into that the same way we went into Chapter 1. But out of both of those films, John, what one did you prefer?
You threw me under the bus there, Steve. They're different kind of movies, really. But
it's not me it's asking, John, it's the community.
I've got to go Triple R.
Yeah.
I have to. Just NTR Jr., Ram Charan, Tour de Force. The two of them are leading performers, and they have bits of villainry in them as well. So for me, it's Rajamouli. Big fan of the guy. Watched the Bahubali movies.
Yeah.
And there's just something about his wizardry with the camera, the slow-mos.
Yeah.
It's just ridiculous what that guy can do. I'd say the villainous performance in Triple R is not as good as KGF, because you've got Sanjay Dutt.
Yeah,
whereas
a better
you get some
villain,
nondescript English actor in Triple R. But for me, Triple R edges it. So
and if anyone
give it 8.5.
Well, if anyone wants to come at us, why are you talking about Triple R in this review? The question was asked by the community what we prefer, and we did say we'd cover it in this review. I'm the same, John. I'm not going to linger on it too much. Basically the same reasons as yourself for Triple R.
Yeah. Rating?
Yeah.
I'm going to give it a 7.
Yeah, 7 for
7
me as
out of
well.
10 for me. I enjoyed it. I thought it was a very good movie in terms of watching. Had issues with it though, so obviously it's not perfect. For me, it isn't quite as good as Triple R, as I just said, which we gave an 8.5 to. But for me, it's still a good watch. Better than what I was expecting 40 minutes into the movie.
Yeah.
It get better, and I think that was mostly down to your two main men in Yash and Sanjay Dutt. Just those characters carrying the movie.
And I think if we're going to get a Chapter 3, this is something that might aid Chapter 2 in the long run. Certainly we've talked about it with the Fantastic Beasts. franchise in terms of, you know, middle parts maybe not living up to the sort of first film, but it's a necessary evil to carry the story along to build it up into a bigger sort of chapter. I don't know where they're going to go with it, John, but for me, it's 7 out of 10 because of Yash and Sanjay Dutt. I thought both of them were fantastic in the film. Chemistry between them as well. You're convinced they didn't like each other, but in real life, obviously, they love each other. That's the sort
action
of
sequences.
Yeah, the action sequences as well, John, were what I expect. And once they kicked in, I don't think there's many. I was going to say Indian action films, but I'm going to actually say action films out there that can execute as well as a KGF film in terms of action and execution, and getting you really excited and worked up, you know, when you see the execution in some of those punches, and they do pack a punch as well in this film.
They do, you feel it. And look, I'm going to just, the final thing I'll say, twist a con into a positive. The editing, the sort of blackout moments in the car sequence, bit disorientating, a bit weird, wasn't expecting it. They worked better in the second half of the movie when they were implementing it in the later action stuff. So, I mean, that's almost this movie in a nutshell. There's negatives, there's positives, and they blend at times.
Definitely do, yeah.
But overall, not a bad movie, not anywhere near as bad as what some people were telling us before we went to watch a movie and were saying, don't watch it, it's a nightmare. It wasn't a nightmare.
No, definitely.
It was absolutely fine. And as I says at the end of the finale reaction, I think, you're a liar if you say you don't enjoy the action in this movie, because it's just sublime. Slow-mo stuff is sublime. You're a liar. You're lying to yourself. And we are outsiders, so we can come in and sit on the fence and tell you straight, you're lying.
Yes, John, the cinematography as well was very good. You know, in terms of colour palette and tone as well, you get a lot of grainy sort of images as well.
Visuals,
the visuals were fantastic.
They were. There was some great moments. The moment he walks out in the balcony and you see his KGF for the first time, that was epic.
Yeah.
So there's some really brilliant visuals in there too. But look, man, let's go round it up. We've gave it a 7 out of 10. What are you giving it? Be honest. Give us your thoughts, good or bad, down below in the comment section about this movie. Share anything you feel compelled to put about our review, the movie, performances, visuals, negatives, positives, everything down below in the comment section. You can also like the video if you've enjoyed it, and subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon to get notifications straight to your eyeballs for future content like this, watch-alongs, reactions, reviews, the full shebang. Regardless of what you do though, thank you very much for watching us, and until the next time, me and Stephen are done. Bye bye.